Welcome back, and today is a open and honest one. But before we hop into it, I'm standing up again. As you notice, I enjoy actually standing up for these videos. Creates energy. It's early in the morning, and I need the energy. I got a coffee in front of me, so this one might be off to a slow start, but we're still recording it, and that's kind of what today is about. How do I consistently make this content while also paying my bills? I don't make any money from this content yet. And whenever a lot of people look at how much content I'm putting out, how much effort I'm putting towards putting it out, they ask, like, where do you find the time to do this? Or why are you doing it? It doesn't really make sense. And today we're covering those topics. And we're going to cover a couple different points. And one of them being, where do I make my money? Now, how do I make money whenever I'm spending time putting out videos every single day? Well, I get contracted out by mostly different agencies. And there's one agency that you have heard me talk about in the past, that being Drone Hub Media. That's a lot of the real estate stuff. That's where a lot of my consistent income comes from. I actually worked full time with those guys for a while, and now they just contract me out for shooting, which is nice. So I still stay connected with them. I still get to deal with them on a day-to-day basis, but also I get to have my freedom and I get to grow my business. So that's one way. And then the other way are some other agencies as well. So John, as you've heard me talk about, he has Dula, and I work with them a good amount. For example, I'm actually going to Cleveland tonight to shoot a construction project tonight and tomorrow. So there are projects like that where they're just one-offs. They are with a construction company, so they pretty much hire me to handle that whole client, which is super nice. So I get to travel around a little bit and put together these brand pieces, put together these interviews, and it honestly makes me a little bit better at interviewing. Now, whenever I'm at these interviews, they do give me questions to ask, and they also have an idea of what they want to accomplish. So it's not really me just sitting one-on-one with them. It's more so me sitting down with the camera, micing them up, and running through the questions that they gave me. But it helps me with my people skills. It helps me guide somebody to get the answers that I really want. The nice thing is whenever I'm interviewing 8 people, 10 people in one day, which is a long day, the first person is not going to be as good as the 10th person. For example, one of these shoots was for retirement for one of those companies. Their CEO, I believe it was retiring. And I went and I interviewed 25 people in one day. So as you can imagine, that was a big day. It was a long day. I had to move around a ton because I didn't want everything to look the same. But the first interview was not as good as the last. I got a feel for those questions. I got a feel for how the person that was retiring actually was, so then I could guide the questions in a way that I heard an answer from the previous person. So now what this person that I'm interviewing now says reminded me that I could kind of go in that direction and, talk about family, talk about how important family was, things like that, because I got to know these people and I got to know the company better and better. If you're working on a project where you have to do a lot of interviews, I actually push you to do a lot in one day. It might be exhausting. You're probably going to get home and not want to talk to anybody for the next week, but you get to learn and you get to learn from yourself. So then it's like you don't overthink the first one. The second one's right away. You got to just shift. You got to just go. And whenever I see people do interviews different days, whenever I see people take one day to do it and then a couple days later and then a couple days later, I feel like it lacks because you forget some little things throughout the time that passes between shoot dates. If you can just get your whole mindset in I'm interviewing, then I recommend you do that. And as you might have seen in a recent reel, I talked about a job that I got from doing my reels because somebody saw that I was pretty good at talking and I could talk to people. I can interview people in a way that I am proud of. And that was actually for a project with Victory, who's another agency that I work for. Now with Victory, I've gotten to work with brands like Nike, Jordan, Champion, NBA, things like that. And this project was with Champion and the NBA Players Association. And I got to just do all of the interviews. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be able to do that right away, But that was my first realization that there's something to being on a set. Whenever you're on set, everybody has their job. I didn't even have to bring my camera to the Nashville trip where I did these interviews because there were other people to do that. I brought my camera just because I was like, man, I don't feel comfortable traveling without bringing my camera. But at the same time, I just brought my camera, but I didn't use it. I was there to interview people. I was there to talk to people. I was there to pull these questions out that we wanted, get the correct answers that we want, and just guide the conversation. Now, I know I just went on a whole tangent of interviews, but I make a good amount of my money getting hired out by other agencies. There are one-off jobs. For example, I did a job for a golf company recently, and I've done work for Liquid IV. Those are my own clients. But this year, with putting out so much content, I have kind of shifted my thinking to let me just make as much money to shoot as I can, because then when I'm home, whenever I have these days where I don't have any shoots, I can work on my content. Now, I'm still editing some of my content. The videos you see on Saturday, I am editing, but at the same time, I am only really editing my projects or bigger projects that come my way. There are bigger projects that I still get called upon to edit, but I am really trying to make it so that I can grow this channel, that I can put as much time towards it as I possibly can. Now, when I say that, I'm saying I want to have shoots, and then once the shoot's done, I'm done. There are jobs where I need to shoot and edit, and I can crank that out. It's no problem. But I've kind of shifted my thinking to be like, okay, when I'm making money, when I'm working, I'm going to work for somebody right there. But then say Wednesday, I have nothing. Wednesday, I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to record these podcasts. I'm going to just really try and put out my content and take it to a level that I want it to be. Next, we're going to talk about the schedule that I'm on. How do I consistently put out content on a schedule? Now, I've talked about this in the past. If you saw it or not, we're going to cover it again. It's about batch recording. Now, I put out videos every single day, right? And the longer form ones are Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Tuesday and Thursday are they're podcast kind of things. And I usually record at least 2 at once. So then I crank out the whole week. I'm not recording Tuesday morning to put it out Tuesday afternoon. Now, for example, I'm a little bit last minute on this one. So today's Monday. This one's going to release tomorrow. And then I'm probably going to record one right after this that will release Thursday. But I try not to be like that. I try to have some in the log. So if I end up having a busy week, then I don't have to worry about not putting out content. Something that I heard on a podcast recently, and it really resonated with me, was that whenever you're putting out content and you get comfortable with where you are, you want to make a change. You want to make a change immediately, and you want to, maybe step up your game a little bit. But that's not always the right decision. Sometimes the best decision is for you to just keep going with what you're doing. And that's a hard thing to do sometimes. It's hard for me because I know I'll put out this content and I'm like, man, I want to put out a short film on here. But that's just more effort that I have to put, and all it's going to do is take away from the consistency that I want to continue to put out on this channel. I want to continue to put out as much content as I possibly can consistently. I want you to know what you're going to get from me on a weekly basis. So that's why I'm continuing to do this. Now, I'd be lying if I said I'm still easily coming up with ideas for the podcast, but it is what it is. So I'm going to stay consistent with this, and I'm going to just keep batch recording my content so then I can put out these reels, put out these YouTube shorts, put out these full-length YouTube videos every single week, every single day. And so that's how I do it. I batch record, and that's just full transparency right there. I'm not able to sit down and record every single day. I could probably find time, but I just found that that's not what works best for me. There are days that I feel great. There are days that I just feel like shit. So I find that the days that I have good days, I try and record. But today, honestly, I'm not feeling that great, but I know I have to. So that's about the consistency thing. Staying consistent, because you never know. Maybe this one will hit the algorithm. Maybe this one will help my previous videos. Who knows? We're just trying to make it work out here. And that's about it for this episode. I feel like I just kind of ranted on this one, but that's just how this one was. And, you know, I'm just not feeling super sharp right now, but I'm cranking it out exactly like I just mentioned. We're going to keep putting videos out, and we're not going to stop. Have a great rest of the day. Goodbye.